My name's Jay Litton. This afternoon, hopefully you had a lot of activities going on with the different workshops that we have. For dinner, we try to focus on, hey, you're in a church, right? We try to focus on the faith-based side of your job search. Make sure that you're in sync with Jesus and God and making sure that you're aligned that way. And then this evening, we try to focus again on trying to help you get a job from a technical standpoint. And tonight's a special night. It's the first time all year, I think, that we've had a mini job fair. I could stand corrected. Somebody could say, no, we had it in January. I can't remember. But we try to have these every quarter or so. And we have a number of employers that would love to hire tonight. And some of them have been here so many times, they know that we get higher quality job seekers here because you're not sitting on the couch watching something on TV tonight. You're serious about your job search, and they understand that. And so expect some really good things happening for this evening. Now, I do want to let you know that this church does a lot of different things besides job networking. For one, we have a lot of different services. We have contemporary services, modern services. We've got a service in the main sanctuary over here where on Sundays, it's the huge choir and it's the huge $3 million organ. I think that's what it was about 30 years ago. Somebody actually donated that to the church. But it's a phenomenal experience, and we encourage you to take advantage of all those. In addition, we have a lot of different ministries besides job networking because this church is all about serving. I joined this church back in 1999 because I felt like there were people involved not just in this church but inside the community. And hopefully you're seeing that here tonight. Hopefully you're seeing a warm greeting by the volunteers at your table and everybody else that you're communicating with. And tonight we want to help you network. We want to help you get the right job you want. And so there's just a lot of goals that we have. But with that, what I'd like to do is lead you in a word of prayer, whether you've eaten or whether you haven't. I'd like to make that prayer happen, and then we'll get you ready for the rest of this dinner program, all right? So if you bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us all together. Going through a job search is not fun. And if we could lean on you, if we could make it possible for you to assist us in this job search, we're here to make that happen. Bless the job seekers that are here. Bless those that have jobs that want better jobs. Bless the volunteers that are here trying to make sure that the words they use are effective. And let's make sure we hear your voice as well. Please bless the food that we've had. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Well, I am pleased tonight to introduce you to a speaker. Now, I'm going to do something a little different tonight. And we've had some remote issues all day long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to the keyboard, and I'm going to get ready for our next speaker. So I'm not going to take but just a second. I'm going to transfer the slides from my slides to his. And let me get out of this. Let me end the show. So our speaker tonight is Ravi. And Ravi, I've known for a while. He's full of energy. He's an author. He's a technology guy. He's had his own consulting company. He understands Salesforce.com. He's someone who knows exactly what you're going through in a job search. Ravi? Ravi, where are you? Oh. Let's hear it for Ravi.
Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your dinner while I get ready. Okay. This December 30th, 1988 was my Neil Armstrong moment. That's the time I stepped my first foot on the American soil. And that's exactly how it was. I stepped into frosty Chicago, just dressed like this, with a brand new shoe with a leather sole, right on the floor, on the street where I was dropped off. And right at that moment, I realized and learned one thing. If you rise up, maintain your energy and momentum, you can go really far in life. And before I go any further today, I want to take a moment to recognize and honor every single current and former RUMC volunteers who make this event possible. It takes a lot of effort to get these things going, and especially to bring hope, a little bit of a glimmer of hope to a lot of people who are going through rough times. So please, let's give a round of applause to every single RUMC member here. So as I said, honestly, those first steps is how life has been in the last 36 years. Flipping, slipping, getting up, and finding a way to keep moving. Life has been that way. So, in general, let me see if it works. So as you know, even us professionals sometimes slip. And that's exactly the picture of how I saw myself falling in the streets of Chicago. But next, all of us, we know life is messy. Life is messy, but doesn't mean it's broken. Life is messy, but in this mess is where our masterpieces are created. If it is messy, that means you are living. That is the message I have for you. All of us have a messy life. We pretend it's not, but it's messy. We are all messy. We just pretend that it's not. So today, I'm going to share a few stories from my life. Not because it's more important than yours, but because stories is what connects us. We are all nothing but our stories. We are a sum of our experiences. And as Mark Twain once said, there is no new story, just action. And I hope my story will reflect your resilience, your strength. Next. Today I'm going to share 3 life lessons, and I hope those serve you well as you go through your journey in your life. The first lesson, setbacks. Setbacks are not the end. Setbacks really are the foundation. The foundation on which you build your masterpiece. 17 years ago, let me take it back. When I was 17. When I was 17, my world went dark. One moment, I was an aspiring cricket player, dreaming to play at the highest level. And the next, I was in a doctor's office, hearing what no young athlete wants to hear. You have lost eyesight in one eye completely. I waited for the doctor to say it was a mistake. It'll come back. But all I got was silence. And in that silence, I didn't just lose my eyesight that day. I lost my confidence. I thought somebody just stole my future. I lost my hope. And then something absolutely amazing happened. My sister became my eyes. She started to read the textbooks and pages that I couldn't see. My teachers at school pitched in to help. And there was one teacher who was absolutely fabulous. He didn't just teach at the school. He would knock at the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm not kidding. In the middle of the night, he would knock at our door and say, "Do you need help?" He exemplified what it means to care. And then the next moment that happened, that literally transformed my life, and that's part of the reason I'm standing in front of you today. We were all waiting, my sister and I were waiting for our final results from our high school 12th grade board exam in India. House was full of guests, relatives. And one of our relatives looked at me and my sister and said, "You two cannot go anywhere in the world without my help." I have no idea why he said that. I didn't argue. I didn't defend. I simply made a decision. And from that day on, the very next day, I went to every single consulate and embassy I could find in the city of New Delhi. It is same as being in Washington, D.C. As a 17-year-old, I didn't know how to articulate everything I needed to ask. But I asked a very simple question. What can a 17-year-old with no money and not much resources, do and find a way to go to a given country? I didn't care which country it was. I just wanted to prove I could go. But just imagine this. Indulge me for a second. Me at 17. Absolutely dashing, handsome, charming. I mean, any embassy I go in, they'd have a red carpet for me. The fact of the matter is, in those days, security wasn't as tight as it is today. In the process, I ended up meeting the head of U.S. Education Foundation in New Delhi. A very kind lady. She listened. She guided me. And despite all the trouble, next slide, please. Although I'm not keeping up with the slide, I'm just going with it. But next slide. I guess we are all off mark, but that's okay. I'm going to go on. Sometimes a kind conversation can change your life or someone else's life. So despite all the trouble, I went to college, intense 4 years of college, wrote to hundreds of schools around the world to find out how can I go to this country, that school, that program. And when it was time to leave India, I did not have money to buy the plane ticket. And I was in New Delhi staying with my best friend from high school. We talked all night, and his brother overheard our conversation. Next morning, we were having breakfast before I went to the US Embassy to get the visa. His brother came and gave a blank check and said, "You have done everything in your power, and if you get a visa, you're going to go." Nobody had ever done that for me. So I'm in front of the visa officer. He looks at me and says, "Mr. Prakash, you are 22 years of age. If I gave you a visa today, what if you don't come back to India?" I thought for a minute. I looked down, I looked up, locked my eyes with him and said, "When you were 22, did you know what you were going to do?" And he goes, "No." And then I said, "So isn't that an unfair question to ask a 22-year-old? And he smiled and said, "Come back at 3 o'clock, get your visa." You see, I had changed my circumstance not because of certainty or guarantees, but because of the change in my belief and action. That is what I want to share with you today. Setbacks don't define you, how you rise. That takes me to the lesson number 2. Adaptability is the key. At the stroke of midnight, December 31st, 1988, I'm getting down from the Greyhound bus in Wisconsin. I have a place that I had arranged to stay as a graduate student for the last 6 months. My professor tells me, "You don't have a place to stay tonight." I've come all the way, 4 days travel to Platteville, Wisconsin, and I have no place to stay, and it's freezing, like I can die in 5 seconds. It was that cold. A year later, it's Christmas, my first Christmas in America. I was sharing a house with 8 other students. They had all gone home for Christmas. I was all alone. I had no money. For 3 weeks, I literally was in a fetal position on the floor. No food, just water and a loaf of bread. Sometimes the cold outside cannot keep up with the warmth that you have inside, the resolve you have inside. For the next 9 years, I went to 3 graduate schools. I worked all kinds of odd jobs. I cleaned toilet. I served as a chef. I was a packer. I was a research assistant. I was a teaching assistant. I was taken to police station, and a lot of the things you hear in the news today, I was subjected to that in 1991. And people thought I'm an international student, so I don't know anything. Well, I do know something. And I am somebody. Every one of you are somebody. And that's something you never forget. So beyond that, for the next 9 years, most of the time, I did not have money to eat many times, so I would just drink water to fill my belly. And I would go out for a run to clear my head. I'm a runner, I always ran. And that helped me a lot in terms of just keeping my sanity. We can go to the next slide. As I said, the cold outside is never stronger than the fire inside. Never think that whatever you're going through, you cannot handle it. It's really critical. Fast forward, there were 2 interviews I went to. I was walked out within 2 seconds of being in the interview room. One gentleman said, "Mr. Prakash, you don't have blue eyes and brown hair. You won't fit in here." Interview number 2, "You don't know enough people with money and connection. You won't make it." And recently, my wife and I went to see a place for business. I was dressed like this. Somebody just looked it up, all of us, top to bottom, and said, "What could you two do?" I've never let that define me. I've never let that define me, and neither should you. And there's a lot of things we lose in life, but I think Rumi captured it properly. Don't grieve. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes back, comes around in another form. That is just life. Doesn't matter who we are. That is just life. Let's go to the next slide. So this job loss that many of you have, I've gone through it many times. I've been here many times. It's just a transition. It's not a defeat. That takes me to the next lesson of the day, the third lesson, which is what I call in my book as well, element of faith. Developing an element of faith in you based on your experience, no one else's, your. Because life is the toughest school. I don't care which school you've been to. Life is the toughest school of all and the best teacher of all. And if you can listen to your life, the experiences of your life, how it builds you, how it broke you, there's nothing better than that. Absolutely nothing better than that. So it's 2007, 2008. I am unemployed for 371 days. It's this time that I got to know many people in this room. Charlie Brown, Jay, Catherine, many of the people I know here. I've known them since 2007, 2008. I had a minor problem. New house, new baby, no money, no insurance. And I was rejected 36 times after final interviews. 36 times. Can we move this slide, please? Sometimes what feels like a failure is just a long journey towards success. And I took 2 decisions. 2 decisions. I decided, we used to meet at C3G on Old Minton Parkway, about 30 of us. One Monday, I challenged every single person to say, by next Monday, I want everybody to do something new that they've never done before. It could be read a book, call a friend, make a recipe, whatever it is, just do something. I promise I'm going to run 20 miles. I'd never run more than 10. By Friday, I ran 20 miles. Next slide. And I also designed a t-shirt which said I'm running and jogging for my dream job with my phone number and things like that. And I was hoping that somebody will call. And remember, there is no rule in a job search. There's no rule. If your heart tells you to do something, you do it. So nobody called. People honked, but nobody called. But they don't know what I gained. By the time I reached the 20th mile, I was a marathon runner. I didn't say I will be a marathon runner. I was a marathon runner. And the next decision was I became an independent consultant. How did I change my life? Decision. Next slide. 2 things. Your mindset shift. Instead of saying, I will, I may, I am, is what I did, and that's what I do. The second was this comfort zone. I never ran 20 miles. I never thought I could run 20 miles, and I did. I was always an FTE, full-time employee. I said, hell with that. I am going to become an independent consultant and give it a try. And those 2 decisions led to opportunities that I had never thought about. And those opportunities from 2009 onwards till this last year had something to do with those 2 decisions. So, next, your breakthrough is usually just beyond your convenience or your comfort zone. We all are guilty of being in our comfort zone and wondering, oh, this is good enough. It's not good enough. I know things are very tough, but we cannot stay in our comfort zone. If you want to grow, if you want to contribute, those are the 2 major spiritual needs of human beings, to grow and to contribute. You have to get out of your comfort zone. There is no ifs and buts about it. And I know many of you are in different forms of challenges in your life. And those challenges could be from whether AI is taking your job away, or there's a challenge of economy, your business went down, socio-political issue, discrimination, equality, doesn't matter. There is a lot going on in our economy. And I think if you can go further, next slide. I think Ralph Waldo Emerson captured it very, very well, what I wanted to share with you all. What lies behind us and what lies in front of us is tiny compared to what lies within us. Dig deep. All of us can dig deep and find things that we have never seen. We are all a rough diamond. I don't care what your age is. You know that one of my, the hero of my life ran his last marathon at 100 at 8 hours and 40 minutes. How many 40-year-olds can run a marathon at 8 hours and 40 minutes? Not many. Not even 20-year-old can run that much. That's my vision of tomorrow, of future. I want you all to have those vision of the kind of things. I don't care where the life has brought you. I've cleaned the floor. I've cleaned the toilet. I'm not saying I'm of the mindset today. I've not run marathon in a few years now. But if I have to run today, I can run right now, right at this moment. If I lose everything I have today, everything, and I mean it, I can start all over. I don't care my age because I have the mind. I have wired my mind that I can overcome what I need to overcome. So, all of these things that I've said, this particular verse, I think captures everything I'm talking about. For I know the plan I have for you, declares the Lord. Plan to prosper you and not to harm you. Plan to give you hope and a future. Hope and a future. Not someday. today, as long as you take the next step. As long as you take the next step. As a marathon runner, I know I ran mostly from 2:30 a.m. in the morning till 6:30 to not interrupt my family life. It was really hard many nights. It was really hard. I would wake up, I had just slept 3 or 4 hours. For 7 years I did that. And you take the first step, the second step, the third step. It was really, really hard, and it was cold some days. But I did it. I would run for 5, 6, 7 hours without listening to anything, because I could tell you every nook and corner of the streets I ran, because I paid attention to my environment. And that's what we need to do. We need to pay attention to what we do every single day in our lives. You don't have to be perfect. Imperfection is our superpower. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to talk a certain way. You don't have to walk a certain way. You don't have to drive a car a certain way. You don't have to write a certain way. You don't have to sing a certain way. You just have to be you. You just have to be you. That is all you need to do. And take the next step. The next step, when you take, you don't have to know the outcome. The one thing I've learned really clearly in my life is when you make decision and decouple it with outcome, don't worry about the outcome as much. Life will open up for you. Because when you take the next step, what happens can open up things for you that you've never imagined in your life. Never. So you see, that 17-year-old who lost his eyesight, I thought my life was over. I would never be able to play cricket. I would never be able to study. I'll never become something. But my story was not over. And neither is yours. Your next chapter could be the most profound thing you ever did in your life. And I hear a lot from people, I'm older, I'm 58. I don't care what other people think. I really don't. That is their problem. My challenge to me is, how do I stay fit, mentally, physically, spiritually, every single day? Every single day when I wake up, do I have the energy? So the things that I want to talk about is, decision leads to destiny. And all of us can tell in our own lives, some decisions are good, some are bad. But the challenge is, you don't have to stop. Nobody says anything is permanent in life. Nothing is. You're going to die one day. If nobody told you, let me tell you that. That is a fact I've known for a long time. Everybody's going to die, so everything is temporary. Go take a chance. Take risk. Make something happen. Help somebody. The things that I want you to remember are these. Keep your momentum going always. Don't stop the momentum. Rise up. Energy. This is the only body we got. This is the only temple we have. Take good care of this. There's no guarantees, but take care of it. Momentum is so important because motion leads to emotion. Emotion leads to action. Passion and action. We need all of those things. Stand for somebody. Just like my teacher and sister helped me. There are many people in my life who have helped me. Stand for somebody else. Never stop listening to your heart. I've resigned for a couple of jobs because I knew in my heart of heart that wasn't the right thing to do. Listen to your heart. And the last thing I would say is, be an independent reader. Leaders are readers. You don't have to lead a company. You don't have to lead a company. But if you maintain your independence of reading, you will maintain your independence of judgment, of questioning, and understanding things on your own terms. This is absolutely critical for us to grow into leadership. So that is all I wanted to share with you today. If anything that I have said resonates with you, I'm happy to be in touch with you. This is my contact information here, right here. I wrote a book. The book was written because a lot of people asked me for many, many years throughout my global travel, why don't you write a book? And like all of us, I know Basil knows a lot of things. What we know, we don't value. Other people may value, but what we know, we don't value. Or maybe it's not the right thing to say, but generally we don't take it seriously. And long story short, several people asked me, some events happened in my family with my kids, and that led me to decide, it's about time that I'm going to write a book so that people can read and take. It's not a book where I preach you to do what you have to do. It's a book where I just share, here is the life. This is what I do. Every chapter ends with what I call this University of Life. And you take what you take from it and make something good out of it. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here today, and thank you to Jay. I wrote to him in 2007, 2008. So it just took a few years for me to show up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, Ravi did one more thing, and that is put questions at your table. And for about, 10 minutes, we're going to take an opportunity for you to have table discussion on those 3 questions. And then I'll come back up here, get you ready for the mini job fair and all the other activities that we have this evening. So I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Thanks.